Hey, what's up? David here with Dino Video Effects and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be looking at Optical Flares created by Video Copilot. And it's a great plugin. You can do some really interesting effects with this plugin. So once you have this plugin, you want to paste it inside your support files and then into plugins. And then once you've done that, reset After Effects and then you're all set. So yeah, let's have a look at this plugin. So we got position XY, we got center position, we got scale, we got brightness, we got scale, we got rotation, we can change the color, and we can change this to multiply, and just all the basic settings. And then we come down here, we got all these advanced stuff. So the only two I'm going to talk about for now is the custom layers and the preview background. So for the custom layers, you can load up a texture using a comp, and then it's similar to Element 3D. So that's a handy tip or setting. And then you got this preview background. So I've got a none, so I can go set it to background, which is my title sequence, and I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so once we've done that, let's open up the external window. So I just click options and this is your window. So we got the preview on this side. Yep. We got the components of the flare. We got some parameters for each component or the overall flare, and we just got some custom presets. Okay. Now, the reason why I set that background to my title sequence, because if I check this show background, it lets me show the background. And this is pretty handy because now I don't have to go back and forth. I can just look at my preview background inside here. So that just saves a little bit more time when you're working, because sometimes you just want to work faster. And it just, yeah, you just want to work faster, obviously. Okay, so let's have a look at the settings. So we got common settings, color, scale, all that random stuff, and we got this matte box controls. So if I take this off the screen, you can see here it's a little hard to let the flare fully come off. So you can still see it. But if I set this to box, you can see here it cuts it off straight away. And that's pretty handy sometimes. I got lens texture, so I can add a texture. And that just adds a bit more detail to your image. That's pretty handy. And you got this chromatic aberration. So if I set this to purple fringe, and I'm just going to add a lens object, iris. Okay. So just come back here. So if I set the intensity up, you can see here we're getting some nice chromatic aberration. It's kind of hard to see. Just put it up. So you can see here we got some nice, and this affects how the light travels through your shot. So that's pretty handy. And red and blue, that's a bit more clearer. But yeah, that's pretty handy. Now, talking about this iris, if I just go into the iris component, I can change the polygon to texture, and I can load up a texture. So I've got all these textures and I can change whichever I want. And that just gives you a bit more options instead of just the custom preset. And you can change the orientation and all that good stuff. But I'm just going to leave it as the custom preset. Okay, so I'm going to add another lens object. It's going to call Shimmer. Okay, So if I come into the shimmer component and go to the animation controls, if I set the speed up and maybe the amount up and hold the mouse left key, I get some nice animation going there. Just make this noticeable. Yeah, so I get some nice animation there, and that just adds some animation. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty. And if I add the lens orbs, I can also add another texture. So it gives you a bit more options for what you want to do. I can change the scale and the brightness and the rotation, so all that good stuff. So that's pretty much it for the external window. Let's jump back into After Effects. Okay, so you can see here as the render mode, I had set it on black, and what that means is it's on a black solid. And I can set the transfer mode to screen, and yeah, it makes it transparent, gets rid of all the black. But if I don't want it to set it to screen, I can always set this to on transparent, and that does the same thing. But I like to put it on black and then set it to screen. That's my personal preference. Okay. So another cool tip is this effect. We got some particles being burst by the luminance. So what I've got here, so what I've done is set the source type to luminance, and the source layer is these particles that's just being produced. So if I just delete this and make a new solid, and we'll just add the Video Copilot Optical Flares, I can just set this. I can go to options, and I'm just going to look for an effect called Subtle Cool, and then hit OK. And then I want to set the source type to luminance, and then set the source layer to my luminance, and it produces these flares. So basically what I'm telling After Effects is I want you to produce particles based on the luminance of this layer, which is the particles layer. And I got a lot of options. I can let it track the brightness or the scale or the color. Yeah, so that's a nice cool tip if you want to like make something like fireworks or something. I don't know if that's a good application, but yeah, that's a nice cool setting that you can use for. Okay, so another cool tip is this light effect. So basically Optical Flares is tracking the built-in After Effects lights inside the software. So what I've got here is just some lights, and the color is a bit of a yellowish color, and the intensity is 93%, and that's the same for all four. And what I've done is let track lights. So if I just do this again, we'll make it orange and set this Optical Flares. I can set the source type to track lights, and then it tracks the lights. And then I can either use the light color or the preset color, which was blue, or I could use the light intensity, the scale. Just a lot of options that you can use. I can even randomize the lights. That's a handy tip. So yeah, another cool feature is this effect where the light is behind the text. I'm just going to set this to half res. The light is behind the text, and that's a pretty cool effect. Okay, so if I just delete both of these and just make a new white solid and go to Optical Flares, set this to screen, and if I want, I can let the custom layers, if I go into foreground layers and then it's layer 1, I can set this to my title comp, and check this out. The light just completely shuts off the text, is shut off by the text. But let's say I don't want it to completely shut off. I want to completely shut it majority of the light. So what we can do is duplicate it and then open up the effect settings. So I hit U twice, and for this one I'm going to hit Alt and then hit the stopwatch, pick whip, and then paste it to the top effect. Okay, and then set the middle one below the effects comp, and then shut the source layer off. And now as I move this top layer, you can see here we get some nice light even behind the text. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm back inside of this title sequence comp, and there is two settings I want to talk about: the animation evolution and the flicker. So if I set this to the beginning of the comp and hit the stopwatch and maybe go forward, set this to 1, check this out. I get some nice animation with the shimmer. So that's a pretty handy tip if you want to add animation to your comp. And the other feature is the flicker. So if I set the type to sharp and I set the speed up quite a lot and the amount, and check this out, I am adding animation to the light. Now you can add animation for the shimmer as well, and you get this kind of effect. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Alright, there's one more feature I want to talk about, and it's the mask feature. So if I just click the flare layer, add a mask to that layer. So I'm just drawing a nice mask. It can be opened or closed. And if I set this to mask, and then I select the mask 1, you can see here, now the flare is following the mask. And I can turn up, hit the stopwatch for mask position, scrub through, and maybe do 1 evolution. And let's check this out. So yeah, that's the mask feature. And then we got motion blur. We can add some motion blur if we want. And hit the motion blur comp. So for the layer as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you everyone. My name's David. I hope you learned interesting techniques that you can use for your own creations. Please give a like, subscribe, comment down below. I do appreciate the support, guys. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.